So welcome everyone tonight. It's so, oh my gosh, it's a full house in person. It's wonderful to see you all here. I'm Margaret Mitchell. I'm the Chief Merchandising Officer for Space &K, and absolutely thrilled to be here introducing the amazing Rosie Huntington-Whiteley alongside her makeup artist extraordinaire, Nikki DeRoast, for this incredible masterclass you're about to see. I have the very good fortune of having a job where I get to see the brands before they sort of fully come to life. And last year, when Caroline Hadfield, the CEO of Rosie and Rosie, brought the brand to the Space &K team and me, I was absolutely blown away by the depth of this brand. There are so many layers to it. And I was saying earlier, I was like, I don't even know where to start with how incredible it is. From the product efficacy and quality, the technology that Amyris, the biotech company behind it, brings, the incredible aesthetic and modern sort of look and feel. It is just an incredible brand. So we're very proud to have it in our assortment. I'm very proud to be working with Rosie, and I can't wait for her to share more. So without further ado, the powerhouse that is Rosie Huntington-Whiteley.
Hello. Thank you. I didn't hear the intro, so I'm hoping that you said something nice. How are you? How is everyone?
Hi, everybody. It's so good to see all of you guys. This is a big deal for us because we haven't been able to be in person, at least for me.
Right.
Yeah, it's good to see faces and smiles. So I'm Nikki DeRoast. Obviously, this is Rosie. We definitely want this to be a class. So if you guys have questions while we're going, feel free to speak up and ask.
Yeah.
We're here to answer anything.
Here to please.
Here to please you guys. So we did do a little prep work before the class, and I want to kind of jump talking about what we prepped your skin with, which is right here.
Yeah.
This beloved product right here.
My Skin Resolution Clarifying Toner. So this, I usually, after I've cleansed my face in the morning or in the evening, I use this, I drip it onto a reusable cotton pad, and then I kind of push it into my skin. And this has got all your AHAs in it. So it's got your glycolic, your salicylic acid, which is derived from willow bark, lactic acid, and this is going to be really great for resurfacing the skin. I have acne-prone skin, which you can probably see. My pregnancy is making it really flare up at the moment as well. So using AHAs has really just been incredible for me because it's going to resurface the skin and gently daily exfoliate, which really just helps remove that kind of buildup that you get on your skin.
Can you use it morning and night? Or
you can use it morning and night. It's a gentle daily toner, although I recommend starting once a day and letting your skin build up. Everybody's skin has like a different tolerance to it. So if you're not used to using actives, perhaps using it once a day or even every other day and then building up is a really good way to start. But it has a lovely kind of tingling effect to it. And you can see it sort of brings the blood to the surface of the skin, so you get that lovely rosy hue to your skin. And typically this settles down and there's a pink clay that sits at the bottom here, and then you tip it up and it disperses through the tonic. But it's a lovely way to refresh, clarify the skin. So I like to start with that after I've cleansed. And then I'll go in and use my Radiant Reveal Brightening Serum, which is a kind of what I call a bit of a does-it-all. It's like a serum
Beautiful.
Meets primer, meets moisturizer. It works really beautifully underneath makeup. And then it works really beautifully in the evening underneath your moisturizers before you go to bed. It feels really indulgent, which was something I really wanted to do because all the products across the board at Rosie, including the makeup, are non-comedogenic, which basically means they don't include potential pore clogging ingredients, which again was like really essential for me in the creation of all the products because I have acne-prone skin. And few years ago when I switched all my products over to being non-comedogenic, I really found it really helped me manage my skin. And so that was a fun thing to do. But a lot of times when I've used acne-safe, skincare products, I found them to lack like an indulgent feel.
Yeah.
And they can kind of just feel very simple and a little bit run-of-the-mill.
This is gorgeous. And it has like a really nice kind of, it almost has like a pearl in it, which is really beautiful. And as an artist, it's really great to put underneath makeup as your primer. And it's a product that I love using on you. And you can see how radiant her skin looks already, and that is from using this product.
Radiant Reveal.
Radiant Reveal, get it?
And it does. It's got a lovely, like, plumping effect. So for me, what you'll see with this first collection from Rose Inc. is it's called the Modern Essentials Collection. And so I really worked hard to kind of condense my absolute essential products that I felt gave me instant results every day. So these 2 skincare products, I wanted the AHA toner that was going to be really beneficial to kind of that gentle daily exfoliating, and then this really kind of plumping, hydrating, brightening serum that kind of does it all. And I think both of them really kind of can incorporate into your existing skincare routine really effortlessly and don't have to think about it too much. So those are the skincare products that I use.
Okay.
Or we have used this afternoon.
Yeah.
I think I've had my makeup changed about 4 times.
Yeah,
today
we don't even. I'm like, what? I haven't even thought about what we're going to do for your makeup today, but we'll figure it out as we go, right?
And then Nikki was getting ready earlier. I said, shall I do your makeup?
Yeah, we're like, let's trick everyone, and Rosie's going to do my makeup instead today. So this is really exciting, and I'm basically going to walk through kind of a day-to-day makeup look that we do for you. And I always like to start with skin. And I think that's a question people always ask, like, should I do the eyes first? Should I do the skin? I like to do the skin because I feel like that kind of creates a beautiful canvas. So you can kind of decide, like, do I really want to amplify my look, or do I want to keep it a little easier? But I feel like it kind of sets the tone. And it's something in my artistry and even personal style that's really important for me, is just kind of having that really pristine skin. So it's been really exciting. Obviously, I've known Rosie for a few years and watched her in the process of developing the line. And I remember we were on a trip for work in the Seychelles, up all night one night talking about our dreams and our goals. And it was right when you were kind of starting to come up with your ideas for Rose Inc. And it's fun to see it all come full circle for us. And, you know, I think her and I share a lot of the same kind of...
We were born on the same day.
Yeah.
So we're both Aries, 18th of April, and we are like soul sisters. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And manifestation is our big thing, isn't it? So
It is.
Yeah.
So to start with the concealer, what I love about this formula, because I can really speak to kind of the performance, is that it kind of does everything that you want. So if you need a lot of coverage, you can get it with this concealer, but you can also really sheer it out. So if you're having a good skin day and you just want to brighten things, definitely by using more moisture underneath as a prep, you'll kind of be able to sheer it out. But if you do have a blemish or you need coverage for sunspots, this will really cover, and it doesn't feel like it's a lot, even though you get the coverage. So I think that that's really incredible that you guys were able to get to that place.
This was the first product we finished in new product development.
Yeah.
And I think this is the product that I hear the most sort of excitement around now from the customers and our retail partners and Space NK and the team there, and all of our sort of community members and the artists that have been playing around with it over the last few weeks and months.
Right.
And everybody is really excited about the concealer. So that makes me really proud, because I always benchmark the quality of a brand from its concealer and foundation, and I think those are also the products that people will be really loyal to.
Right.
So of course, we will have like 1,000 lip products.
Right. Right.
But we tend
your
to really
skin is something
stick to a concealer or a foundation that we know works for us.
I agree with that. So when you're thinking about doing your under eye concealer, hardly use any product, and that's because typically concealers are made to have more coverage, so less is more. You can always build. And if you notice, I'm really putting that just kind of in those areas that need it. So you want to think about the hollows of your eyes and then kind of the outer corner. But I think it's a little more modern not to go with the old YouTube triangle situation that we've all probably seen one too many times. And it's just more of a natural finish, and you won't deal with a lot of creasing. So I think that's a question people always ask, is how do I avoid creasing? It's less product. And then if you are going to finish with a powder, you want to make sure that you swipe it away any creases before you set it. Because if you set a powder over a crease, you're going to keep the crease in there. So I think that's a pretty important little tip. And as you can see, there's a brush that goes along with it, which is perfect for just kind of blending.
Yeah.
It gets in all the nooks and crannies.
Nooks and crannies. Contours of the face.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
This was a fun one to develop because I said I wanted something that was a little bit like a fingertip. So you can, I don't know if you can see, but it's sort of like a half dome shape. And yet it was really designed to fit into all of these kind of hard to get areas. But it's a really packed out, like dense brush as well. And so it's really great for around the corners of your nose.
Let's put a little on the corners of your nose.
Please, I need.
So I used the shade 60 underneath her eyes, and now I'm using 70 on the rest of her skin. So you can use the same shade everywhere if you want, or if you feel like you want a little bit more brightness underneath the eye, you can go a shade lighter. I think it's flexible, and there's not one right way. I think it's kind of whatever works for you. I know I'm really lazy on myself, so I just use one shade everywhere because I can't bother with doing my own makeup. I can spend an hour on someone else, but me, I'm like maybe 10 minutes and that's it. So then when you're concealing any spots or sunspots, anything, you really want to just tap the product on. Sometimes I'll let it kind of sit for a second, let it dry down a little bit, and then you can just go back over with your brush. But you always want to be kind of tapping it into the skin instead of moving it around. I think just kind of it sets better, it covers better, and the formula lets you do that because it doesn't look like makeup. It's really, really natural, but it covers.
It is.
I does it all.
I don't use foundation day to day anymore since I created this concealer because, as you said, it's got that coverage, but you can also really sheer it out when you're having good skin days. But
yeah,
you can just keep applying it. So I like dot it around in all the areas.
I think also because of the pandemic, it's like, right? And I think we're all looking for easier alternatives to doing a full makeup application. So this will be a great hybrid. So let's get into sculpting the cheeks, which we love. So this is a stick from Surat. What's the name of that?
Diamante.
Okay, great. I'm glad you got that instead of me.
Someone named those.
Yep, sure didn't. So I like to always start with highlighting first, then we'll go into sculpting, and then we'll go into color with the blush.
I always do my highlight last.
Well, she's been doing it wrong, but that's okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Have I?
Yeah. I feel like you want...
I feel like every other makeup artist I work with does it last. So.
This is the right way that I'm showing right now. And the reason why is I feel like you can kind of, if you highlight last, you can kind of see where you highlight. This kind of starts, you can get a broader area, so you can get more glow that way, and then kind of layer over the top. But I will say I double highlight, so maybe that's what you're thinking, because I will add a little bit at the end. But I like to just tap it into the cheek, always sweep it here. I think it's important to highlight the sides of your nose, because no one takes a picture straight on. Maybe you.
Never. Challenge you to find a picture of me.
I challenge anyone that can take a straight on picture. I think only men really do it because they don't know any better, and they're just. And I like to get the inner corners of the eye, but I think along the side of the nose is nice because we're always kind of hitting the angles, and so you want that highlight to kind of follow, also a bit on the side of the chin. And we'll put a little...
What's that accentuating?
It's from looking at photos forever. I feel like it just kind of, it makes it look like you don't just have a highlight here. It kind of tracks down the face. So it just makes everything look really radiant. You know, just a little hot tip. So we'll start with that. And then we'll move into a little sculpting. So I'm going to do something that could fail me right now because I'm mixing creams and powders. It can be done. I know it seems scary sometimes, but we'll see what happens. I'll start on this side of the face just in case it doesn't turn out. Just kidding. You definitely can mix creams and powders, and I wanted to use a powder contour just to show you guys when we use the blush that they all can kind of flow together. And this is from Kevyn Aucoin, and it's their sculpting powder in shade medium. So I usually like, again, as you can see with the technique, you want to press the product into the skin instead of swipe, because that also doesn't disrupt what you have going on underneath, because we don't want to wipe away our foundations or our concealers. We just kind of want to layer. So think of it like decorating a cake. We're just slowly adding the frosting layer by layer.
It's great if you don't like your client as well.
Do you guys say frosting or icing here for cakes?
Icing.
Oh, okay. Icing. No one understood what I was saying. Like, what is that joke? So Rosie has amazing cheeks. I think it's something that she's really known for. It's one of my favorite features that you have.
Not my personality?
No. So you always just want to push that into the cheek, and then naturally I think you created blush because it's something that you're known for, right? Your cheeks.
Why
did you create blush?
Over bronzer?
In your first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know I love a bronze moment, but I felt like, going back to what I was saying earlier about that instant results, is that blush gives you instant results. And I feel like a bronzer is more kind of just, it lives there and it's great for sculpting, and we certainly have a bronzer coming, soon.
Yeah.
But I just felt cream blush was multi-purpose, and this cream blush, our Blush Divine Radiant Lip and Cheek colour,
Blush Divine Radiant Lip and Cheek.
can be used on the mouth and on the apples of the cheeks as well.
Right.
So I just wanted something that was really easy to use for everybody, and that, gave that like an instant result.
Something that she taught me, believe it or not, that you do with both your cheek and your lip, and I think it's a great little tip, is I'll watch her holding colors up against her face and looking in the mirror, and you'll do that with your lip as well. And I think that's just it's so simple. It's not, that complicated, but it's just when you're looking at what color works for you or what you want to wear that day, just simply holding it up next to your face and kind of thinking about what you're wearing. These two are my favorite shades, I'm not going to lie.
Foxglove and Heliotrope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're great to layer too. So I'm going to start with Heliotrope just to show you guys as well. If you want to kind of amp up your blush, you can start with one and then add another. I love this formula because I think people can be really intimidated by cream blushes, but they're also so simple and easy because if you get too much product on, you can always kind of blend it out and it will diffuse. But there is pigment, so if you want to actually have a cheek moment, you're able to achieve that with this formula. And the finish does not have any shimmer in it, which I think is really important because shimmer on your cheeks equals welcome to all my pores. It really accentuates pores, but this does not have that, and it's just more radiant, and it has a finish that makes you you can see how she has that nice glow on her cheek. It's just really healthy looking.
Yeah.
So you can use your fingers. I love using this brush that you made. It's a great brush.
I love this brush.
Tell me, why did you do an angle on it?
Just because the way that you would hold it against your face, and then again it's packed really densely with the vegan bristles, so it picks up the product really beautifully.
Yeah.
And then it diffuses it across the face really beautifully as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, I often whack way too much on, and what's amazing about this formula is how high pigment it is. So oftentimes I find myself wanting to go back in with whatever I've used to apply my concealer just to take it back a bit.
Right.
But I really think, if I was creating cream blush, I really wanted to make sure that there was the right brush that went with it. Because I know some people can be really intimidated by cream blushes, but personally I find them to be much more flexible and malleable and easy to wear, and they just give you that instant radiance.
Yeah, you can see how that just lifted the entire face. And notice again, the motion is more kind of pressing that into the skin. I think it's great too. I know for me, all my discoloration and sunspots are on my cheeks, so I love that this has enough pigment that it also kind of feels like it's covering or diffusing those up, so I don't have to do as much concealer. So I think it's nice to have a little bit more of a full coverage blush. Sometimes I like to layer, so I think that these two are kind of in the same tone family. Foxglove's obviously a bit deeper, so I can just take a little bit more, let's say for evening. You can always kind of tap a little off on your hand. I felt like maybe that was going to be too much, so you can just kind of do a little tap, and then you can kind of just add that in. So it starts with the lighter color, and then you put more depth right in the apple of the cheek. But I love blush, and I love playing with layering and color, so more is more is more is more. And then we always typically take whatever's left on the brush and just add a little bit to the eye before we do the eye makeup, because I feel like it kind of marries everything together. I've been trying to get with the TikTok trends, so sometimes I'll add like the slightest bit on the nose, but I don't go too crazy. I feel like...
You don't want an orange nose?
No.
No?
No. I think if you're 18, it works, but...
Most things do.
Yeah, that's true. The older we get, the more complicated it gets. So I'm going to set this before I move on to the eyes. This is one of my favorite powders. I feel like it is for you as well, from By Terry, and it's their Hyaluronic setting powder. I used to always let you powder yourself, remember? She likes to take over sometimes, and I let her. But what I love about this powder is it's so, you can see how light that is. I hope that doesn't get on your dress, I'm sorry. So it really can kind of absorb any of the oils or where we don't want too much shine. So it's like you want to create glow, but then you want to take some of it back so that it's not all too shiny, I suppose. So I like to get the sides of the cheeks. I won't get the entire cheek, but that area seems to be kind of where we all get a little bit shiny. And then I'll just do a little on the chin, obviously the nose. I like to just do the center of the forehead, and I keep the sides out because, again, I feel like that keeps the glow going. And then I always dust a little bit onto the eyelid, whatever is left on the brush, just so it can kind of prep me for eyes. So let's move on to eyes.
What are you going to give me today?
It's funny. I made this palette yesterday, but these are like I've been using these colors on you so much lately. I feel like I'm in a very warm tone mood. Yeah. And I think they look great on everyone, to be honest. I think it's just such a...
It's a nice autumnal palette.
Yeah.
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 I like that.
So usually when I start, I like to go with something close to the skin tone, but lately it's been a little bit darker, I think, than Rosie's natural skin tone. And I've kind of been into taking the warmth all the way up to the eyebrow. And I don't know if I can really explain it. I think even on myself when I do that, even if I only do one eyeshadow, I feel like it just kind of warms up the eyes, and it makes a bigger impact than what the effort is to do it. So that's probably why as well. So I just want to kind of get a little bit of base on. And then I like to kind of layer and build. So, you know, kind of this, I guess it's a rosy brown. We'll just start that on the eyelid, pat that on. I typically like to start the depth on the eyelid and then slowly build out from there. And I think that's what's really fun about eyeshadows and palettes as well, is that you can play. I don't really typically have a huge plan. I think it's just kind of putting some on, taking a step back, seeing how it looks, doing some more. I want you to tell everyone the other thing that she does that I've learned. Mm-hmm. When we're doing eyes, she always looks in the mirror and she goes like this. But I think it's actually it makes sense.
Your makeup.
Yeah. So what changes when you put your arms up?
Well, you block the light that's coming from above, so you get
a better idea of symmetry.
When you're looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
If you're in a brightly lit room.
Yeah, I've copied you. I do that now too. I'm like, do I look okay?
How we think we look in the mirror, and then how we actually look are two very different things. I've learned.
Yeah, this is true. So if you would have thought about 5 years ago, do you think that you would have been sitting here with your own brand?
Well, as we were talking about earlier, manifestation, right? So I think I always had the idea in the back of my mind that I really wanted to develop a beauty line. It was just about figuring out how to connect the dots. And I've always sort of felt like in my life that even if you don't know how to get something done, like just manifesting the idea of it and sort of creatively visualizing what you want from your future and really seeing yourself there, that things sort of naturally end up kind of falling into place oftentimes, and sometimes not in the way you completely imagined it. And there's often loads of curveballs and hurdles to overcome, but just constantly believing and seeing yourself in a scenario, which can apply to anything.
Right.
You put that energy out, and the opportunities or the doors kind of start to open. You have these conversations with the right people, and it does come. So I always say to people, if there's something that you kind of really want, whether it's like something to do with your career or something to do with your well-being or relationships or friendships or whatever it might be, you just have to, I don't know, I just feel like manifesting, meditating on that moment. So 5 years ago, it was definitely in my like zeitgeist, but I had to figure out how to do it. And that's why I started Rose Inc. in 2018 as an editorial platform, because I didn't quite know how to go around building a beauty brand. Mm-hmm. And I knew that it was going to take a lot, and it has taken a lot. And B, I really felt that I wanted to build a brand around community first. And I also felt it was really important for me to build my own kind of, I suppose, authority within the beauty space. I think we see a lot of people launching makeup lines and brands left, right, and center, and some feel really natural to the person, and there's the integrity that's there, and then other times things kind of feel off. And so I think it's all about kind of building that trust and that dialogue between you and your audience and your following. And it was great. I mean, it was, I've been able to network so much and meet so many people through the editorial site, from experts and influencers and various different community members and artists, and just build this network to kind of be in a place, 3 years later to launch a brand. And once I started the editorial site, again, it's sort of part of that manifestation of putting out this idea that I wanted to do something. And then the phone started to ring, and I would be taking meetings, and there would be something for people to really see as I was taking meetings, people to really see this passion that I had for beauty. And then at the end of the summer in 2019, I started work with my partners, which is a biotech company in San Francisco, which develop proprietary ingredients in a sustainable manner. And so they were just a really natural partner for me, because I felt that we were going to be able to bring something to marketplace with a real point of difference. So the products that are very much ingredient focused, which you'll start to see, and all of the color products have skincare benefits within them. Because I'm such a skin fanatic, because I've had such a journey with my skin over the years. I've just always paid attention to ingredients and become more and more obsessed with it over the years. And so I really wanted to make color products that were going to be very beneficial and loaded with ingredients that were going to really support the skin microbiome and support the skin health, versus kind of taking away. After years of being in the hair and makeup chair and coming home and having breakouts and skin issues and just my skin generally feeling really depleted, I wanted to make color products that were going to kind of enhance and give back. So that's what my partner has allowed me, to do. They're experts in these proprietary ingredients that they manufacture. So it's been an amazing partnership, and
definitely
I think gives us a unique point of difference as a brand as well.
Yeah, it does. So just to explain what I was doing while we were talking through that, I basically just added in some depth on the lid. So I started with the lighter shade, added in a little bit of this warm tone, and then built up the lash line with the darkest shade. So it's always just kind of, think of whether you prefer a sunset or a sunrise, it's gradient, so it's starting from the depth and then working its way up. I always like to kind of lift her eye a little at the edge. I think a really important thing to think about is, even on yourself or if you're working with somebody else, open your eye. So when I'm doing the outer corner, I always have you keep your eye open, because it actually changes so much where you want to place the wing. And that's been something that's made doing eyeliner even on myself so much easier, because when you close your eye, you're kind of just guessing, and then you're opening and you're fixing and you're fussing around, and this just makes it kind of like you can land every time with how you want your liner to look. Something else that we love doing when we don't want to do a full smoky eye, is just adding a little bit of depth into the inner corner. And oddly, I think it gives a lot of drama to the eye, but it also kind of opens the eye as well. It's a really interesting kind of effect. So I like to use a gel pencil and just kind of add, and I'm using a dark brown. So I typically don't use a lot of black liner unless the look calls for it, if it's a more kind of gray and smoky tones. But in general, I think dark brown typically works a lot and works well on most people to kind of give some depth to the eye. So I'm gonna let you—
Did you tightline?
We tightlined earlier.
I reckon they'll want to know about that because that's a good tip.
Okay, so tightlining, do you guys know what tightlining is? So that's basically that the skin, I'm not—
So we're going to be really ugly on camera.
It's this skin, that skin.
It's the upper inner rim of your eye.
The upper inner rim.
So instead of lining your eyeliner on the inner rim down below, you line the lash line at the top.
I'm going to have you put on your mascara while I explain that. Rosie always likes to do her own mascara, and I'm lazy, so I prefer that she does her own mascara as well. So the Tightline just kind of helps to complete the look. It's also great on days that you don't want to wear a lot of makeup, but you want to add just a little bit of depth to your lashes. And definitely when you are wearing shadow or mascara or lashes, I feel like it's really important to do your Tightline. When you're doing it, you want to use a pencil that's a long wear and a gel. Not all will be, and I think it also makes the application a lot easier, because sometimes if you use a kohl or a pencil, you'll notice that it will kind of fall down or it will get underneath the eye. But if it is a true gel formula, you should be able, like this one isn't a true one because I shouldn't be able to kind of rub it off. So you can kind of test it that way, let it dry on your hand, and then it should stay. I grabbed the Nars Climax Mascara. I think that's what this one is called. It used to be in a red. This is Climax Extreme. So there's Climax and Climax Extreme.
Is that?
Yeah. The other one is in a same packaging but red. And this is another great tip, because the only thing that she drives me crazy with is she gets mascara all over. So if you take a clean mascara spoolie, if you get any mascara on the lid, if you just simply kind of flick it off, it comes off without ruining all the eyeshadow. Because you know when you go for a Q-tip and then you put micellar water on and then all of a sudden you have a hole in your eyeshadow and everything's just, you have to start over again. Something as simple as a spoolie just fixes all of it. So, and then just to finish the eye look, I put that first shade underneath the eye. It's not as dark as on top, but it kind of just marries everything together. But pretty simple. I mean, I think with eyeshadow, it's just don't overthink it. It's just kind of not slapping it on, but just kind of. Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So brows. We're both really passionate about brows.
Sorry.
It's an exciting moment when we get to do the brows. And I think what's interesting about what you created is that you have a clear formula and then you have 4 shades, right?
Yeah.
That have actual pigment and color. Is there a difference between the clear and the...
Yeah, so the formula for the clear is like a pomade, and it has like that kind of real waxiness to it, so you get that real lift with your eyebrow hairs. I love that kind of like very full laminated look with my brows. So the clear will really kind of lift, and I think I've got the clear on now. You put it on earlier, didn't you? So you can see it's like really lifts the brows and kind of like sort of flattens them to your skin a little bit.
But I think what's the coolest part is the conditioning agents.
Yeah. And then this product's called Brow Renew Enriched Shaping Gel. And so I was working with my chemist on this product, and I said, you know, it'd be really interesting to see if we can include some ingredients that are really beneficial to the hairs. We think always about conditioning the hairs on our head, and then we think about removing all the other hairs that we have on our body. But we kind of ignore our eyebrows and the quality of the hair. So it's got these lovely ingredients in it. It's the pea sprout extract, the squalane, which has this like real hydration, and it's going to really help to support the hair follicles and the regrowth. And so that's the pomade, and then 4 shades. And I actually have my own little sort of way of applying this, which everyone thinks is kind of weird, but I like to actually groom my eyebrows into place with the pomade first and kind of get the shape that I like, and then I go in with the fill color, and I usually use fill 1 in the daytime if I want a bit more of a dramatic look in the evening. Then fill 2 will give me that kind of depth of color. So I use them, and then once I kind of have as much that I like distributed through the brow, I then like to kind of finally fix the shape again with the clear pomade. And that's just simply because I want to fix them, but also I don't want to continue to distribute the color through the brow, so you end up with a really heavy brow look.
So I think when you're filling in your brows, it's case-by-case scenario. So for me, for example, I actually don't use a brow pencil. I just use a brow gel. And we love to kind of add a little bit more fringe and texture into Rosie's brows. So what I am doing is following the direction that the hair grows. So you'll notice that even by using that clear first, it kind of set the map for me to be able to place the pencil. So everything here, obviously I'm going upwards, starting at the root and just kind of creating little hair strokes. But as the brow starts to turn here, then you want to move your pencil the other way and follow the direction of the hair. And then you always want to use your spoolie, which is a great tool to kind of blend everything together, make sure it's all flowing. And if you ever mess up, you can also use your spoolie again as an eraser, and it will kind of just erase the brow. But you can see, you know, just by adding in a little bit of pigment, what that does. And then, like she said, we can either go in with the fill 1 or we can just use the clear, depending on what we're feeling for what we're doing. But both work really well. So I know for me, if I were to fill in my brow with a pencil, I would use the clear because I feel like I have a lot of brow.
You do have a lot of brow.
Yeah, I do kind of. Yeah. And brow is so personal. I feel like for some people, they're used to seeing a lot of pigment on their brows, but whenever I do, I always feel a little off.
Who's had their eyebrows laminated in here?
I've never done it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you done it?
I've done it, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is it something you would keep up with? No, that's why you made a brow product.
There's about 100 other beauty treatments that I have before that. No, I actually really like the effect of it, but I really like the effect of it. It's just that usually I have a load of other things.
It's lower on the list.
It's lower on the priority list.
Well, and I think a brow...
But it's amazing. And that was, you know, when I had them laminated, it was very much that then creating this product was really kind of how can I have that effect
right
day to day in a product that I can wash off.
Right.
But because it's not great, I don't think long term to have them done. Probably.
Well, we'd rather probably condition our eyebrows than put laminate that we're not really sure what's inside. So yeah, the brows look, I love a fringy brow. What would you like to add? Fill 1. We like to do interactive artistry. So would you like to add fill 1 or?
I might go for fill 2 actually.
Oh wow, okay. We're going for fill 2.
Since it's the evening and it's Friday night.
That's right. Big plans afterwards.
Yeah. Fill 2.
Yeah. She also likes to do her brows sometimes.
I do.
But I like to do them too. We like to go back and forth. I'm waiting for her to do my brows.
So you'll notice as well that on the fill colors the brush is slightly different, and that again just allows sort of a deeper kind of, well, I guess more precise sort of application over the pomade. And then when I apply the color, I actually like to tip my head back a little bit because I really want to kind of focus the color at first at the bottom of the brow instead of kind of up here. And I find if you start in the middle, you often end up with the brow product coming up on the head.
Yeah.
So just tipping your head back in the mirror, you can just start, you can really see the roots of the hair. And then for me, it's really about filling in the front of the brow here. I'm getting that like lovely lifted fluffy effect.
And I think what's great about this formula is that it has enough pigment, but it's also not too much where if you touch the skin, you're like, oh, okay, I just made a mess and I don't know what to do with it. As she touches the middle of her forehead. I manifested that. Yeah. But it really can naturally build the brow. Something that I like to do on myself is I'll actually backcomb my brows the opposite direction. So I actually will start on the outer corner and work my way in and then kind of fluff them out. But again, I think everyone has personal preference on how they like their brows to look. I don't like a lot of fullness through this part of my brow. I like to keep a little bit more of the depth to the outer. So, and I think that that's okay, and that's what's cool about makeup and beauty is that everyone's unique, and you can kind of decide what works for you, and there's no wrong or right way. And I think that that's something that you really celebrate with your brand as well, is kind of creating products that enhance features.
Yeah.
And what's better than that, right?
I know, I think we've been told for so long about rules of beauty and how you have to wear makeup, and it's such a unique personal journey. And so, you know, luckily I've had hours of artists playing around with me to kind of learn what works and what doesn't work for me. But I always just say to people, if you've got the time just to really play and create, if you enjoy it and learn what works for you and what doesn't, and take selfies and take pictures and look at yourself in different lights, see what colors work best for you, see your, you know, which features you like to play up the best.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, because you never really know until you start playing, and you know what looks work and what doesn't work. Even with hair, it's the same thing. We kind of know. I have
like 2 hairstyles.
Yeah.
Literally.
It's like, let's not steer away from the ones that we know work. Okay, so we're nearly there. Remember years ago when we both got this product? It's a really fun one from Kevin Aquan. It's like a balm basically, but
it's not great on a windy day.
No, because it has a little bit of stick to it. But I do, because it's night, we'll add just that little extra layer of dewiness to the cheek, which is so pretty. It kind of just gives a little bit more multi-dimension, even though we have a lot of glow. We're just really glowing for it. Get it?
Oh, God. It's like a dad joke.
Yeah. That's all I got today, guys. So just tapping a little bit of that onto the sides of the cheek. You can always, just to be really, really safe, take your blush brush and just tap over it to make sure there's no hard lines. I think the tools and the keys to really great artistry on yourself are just making sure you really blend. And when you don't think you've blended enough, blend some more. Because no matter how much or how little makeup you wear, it always looks like a great application. So let's add some lip. I always like to start with a natural lip liner. I mean, she doesn't really need a lip liner, but I'll have you add a little bit anyways, right?
Yeah.
So I like to just use a neutral. I think it's important for us all to find a lip color or a lip liner that's really close to our natural lip color. And you can always kind of build out your shape first. And then no matter what color you want to wear on top, you kind of have that baseline. It's a great way to make your lips look fuller.
You know a tip that Huda taught me? And I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough to film with Huda a few years ago, who's just so much fun. And she taught me this trick with lip liner, which probably everybody knows except for me, that you make a cross here in your lips. So I don't know if you can see that, but I go from the top of my Cupid's bow, and then I cross it down here, and then on the other side.
It's hard to talk and explain it all at the same time. Does that kind of make it look a little poutier, right?
And then she taught me to come down here with a straight line, like halfway through your lip or 2/3, and then again on the bottom.
Why have you never showed this to me before?
Because I like to pull things out of the bag. I don't line the bottom of my lip because I end up looking like I've got a pair of sausages on my mouth. So I keep the bottom lip pretty free and just define the top lip, but give myself a kind of punk rock effect. I don't know if you can see it in the audience. Can you see a little bit? Maybe not. And then after that, I'm going to use my
but I think
blush.
we should do one of the darker shades, no?
Okay, yeah.
I think we should do this one.
Which one?
Azalea, yeah.
So
I like to apply lip with my fingers a lot, or blend with fingers as well, because I think it just makes the lips look lived in and full, and I think it makes the product stay on a lot better as well.
I find even when I have a lipstick on, I always kind of go in and pat it out with my finger.
Yeah.
I just I feel like it has like It does. It makes it feel more lived in, less precious.
Yeah. And then it kind of, you know, like you still have a line, but you can blur it out just a little bit as well. So it kind of creates fullness. There's an ease to it, I think. Even though we did use a liner, and you can see how beautiful the blush also works on the lip. It's made for both the lips and the cheeks.
And those lines I made, you can't really detect. They become indetectable once you put the color over the top, but they just create that little bit of shadow and kind of contour for your mouth.
Right.
So it's a good way to like get that real poutiness.
Yeah.
And everyone looks like they've got really good lips in the crown.
Yeah,
So.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I love this shade Azalea for the lip. I think it's just like it kind of kicks up the natural lip color a little bit. It's beautiful for night. You can see the entire look kind of is monochromatic, and what she's doing there is
Messing up what you've done.
just messing up my fine work with fingerprints. Just kidding. No, and that's what's great too, is that you can really continue to layer. It doesn't mess
Can't
up.
really see.
Blinded
Like
by the
tiny
light.
and then light's so blind.
I'll fix it if
I
it
always like to do
looks
that
bad.
after I apply whatever I have on my lips. And I go in and tap it in the apples again.
You
just
can
to keep
always
the same colors.
Yeah, and you can always go back with your brushes and just kind of give a final once over to make sure that everything is blended. I always like to do that again, like I said, with the concealer just at the very end. I don't need to add any more, and it's staying really well, but this is the final step where I will take the tiniest amount of powder and I can just swipe that underneath the eye so that everything's set. And that also helps so that you don't get any mascara kind of running underneath the eye. I think just adding a little bit of powder right in that little area.
I look great for bath time with my son.
Right? Ready to go
My
take a
Friday
bath?
night plan.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of the look for tonight, I would say.
Thank you, Nikki.
Yeah, for
Thank
bath
you.
time.
So we don't let us down, because I am going to ask if anyone has any questions. And usually when I say this, the crowd goes silent. If you have any questions, please feel free to yell them out. Otherwise, we will awkwardly leave.
Someone
Stage.
throw us a question. Yeah.
What was the first product you developed within?
The first product. So we really, what I did first with my chemist is really define what we want to do. So we first of all like look at everything, and for me I want to do 100 things, and then she kind of like brings me back into sort of like some options, and then we sort of create sheets around each product and look at the trends and look at kind of what would work really best, and we have a lot of conversations. So with the Modern Essential collection, we'd already defined which products we wanted to develop, but then you go into NPD, new product development, and you start to you create a product, and then you're going back and forth from the bench with the chemist, and they're kind of making things, and you know, she's obviously the person that knows the ingredients and what to fix and what to take out and what to add, but you have rounds and rounds and rounds of like basically kind of samples that you get sent. And the concealer was, as I said, the concealer was the first product that we actually felt we really nailed immediately. So that was done, you know, I think about 10 months after we started creating it, which is quite a short time actually in new product development, but we just loved it. We got it right quite early on, and then it's like that test where you have to just kind of leave it. And then after that, we sort of finalized some of the skincare products, and yeah, things come together, but it does take from sort of ideation of the product that you want to actually seeing it on the shelves. Depending on the type of packaging you use, it can be about a 2-year process. So I'm already working on products right now for 2023, end of 2023, which is really kind of an odd timeline when you're pregnant and you realize that you can make a baby in 9 months. And yeah, I'm working on products that are going to be out way past that. So it's a lengthy gestation period for a product, but
It makes being pregnant seem easy, right?
Completely.
Like, oh, this is simple.
A lot makes pregnancy seem easy after you've launched a business.
Yeah, that's very true. Sorry.
So the toner is a pregnancy and breastfeeding safe.
Yes. Yeah.
I was going to ask, what inspired the names behind the blushes?
What inspired them?
The name.
Yeah, so that's a great question actually, because I love the naming convention. I work, really hard to make things feel kind of quite personal. So of course, when you're creating blush, obviously you start to look at floral colors, and then I didn't really want to go down the typical kind of rose, primrose, kind of daffodil like shade names. And so I basically like pulled out an old book that my mother had, a gardening book, and looked at flower names that had like slightly kind of more abstract names and matched them to the tones of the actual blushes. So we have azalea, anemone, foxglove, and so they're kind of just a little bit more quirky. And then with the lip sculpt, very sort of halfway through product development, I was so like excited about this product because I really felt like it sort of sculpts my lips. And so then with the naming convention for that, I decided to look at some of my favorite female artists and look at some sculptures that they had produced, and then took a word from some of the titles of their famous work. So that's things like harps and courts come from titles of my favorite female artists. So it's nice when you can kind of bring everything back to some kind of personal meaning. And but yeah, naming products and naming anything is like a real struggle with product lines, because you come up with a great name and you're like, I'm so excited, and then you run it through all the trademark checks and
it's already
get
taken.
really disappointed.
Yeah.
And everything is taken.
Well, Nikki's not, I don't think, if you want to.
Oh, yeah.
Waiting. Great questions.
Yeah,
Anything
thank
else?
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the aesthetic, obviously, for me was a wonderful part to get to work on, and very much, I think I look at, I sort of get inspired from everything from architecture through to fashion, design, nature. And we sort of landed on this arch shape, which was very much inspired from architecture. And you see it a lot, even in kind of Georgian architecture as well. You'll see it around London, the arch shape. Now I see it everywhere in architecture. And so that was very much the sort of inspiration behind the packaging. And then in terms of actually the minimalistic feel of Rose Inc. products comes really from the sustainable values that we have as a brand. So, I set out at the beginning and said, I want everything to be as sustainable as it can be, as environmentally friendly as it can be, and didn't really realize the restrictions that would put on us as we develop packaging. But I feel it kind of really proud that we've stuck with that, because it has allowed us to have a lot of packaging that has very high percentage of PCR incorporated into the plastic. And also, most things can be taken apart. There's instructions for all the packaging on the website. Things can be taken apart and disposed of where it's recycled. So just, again, being transparent with the customer about how to dispose of the packaging. And then this is my first refillable product. So you can actually use a pin once you finish the pan, or you want to change out the color of the pan, you can use a pin to push it out and insert a new one. And refills are going to be a big part of Rose Inc. as we develop the brand more and more. But the minimalism is it's very much my aesthetic anyway, luckily. But it also comes from the fact that if you want something to be recycled, you can't have loads of foils, loads of overlays, loads of sprays and kind of foils and embellishments to the product. So in a way, it's been restrictive, but it also is a challenge that I feel is really worth kind of committing to. Thank you. Yeah.
With regards to the concealer,
Yeah.
could you add some moisturizer and maybe kind of
Oh, yeah.
build it
Yeah.
up to something that you could use as a sort of base?
100%. Yeah, the Radiant Reveal works really beautifully with it. And you'll notice the bottle size is slightly bigger, because I do use this as a foundation day to day. I dot it around my face and in the areas where I kind of see that I want the most coverage, which is basically my whole face. and then blend out. But yeah, you could really sheer it out and put it into a moisturizer, however you like to apply it, really. But it works really beautifully in conjunction with the Radiant Reveal.
Yeah, and I think it's something that you can even just kind of do 2 little dots on the hand, mix it, and you even use your fingers to apply. But you can see how that just kind of creates, Yeah, a skin tint, but it still has a great amount of pigment, which I love because I always think it's better to have a formula with more pigment so you have so many options instead of less pigment, because then you essentially only can do one thing with it. So it's a really does-it-all formula. We never spoke about these, which are just a side note. I love washing my face with these.
Yeah, they're good, aren't they?
Yeah,
Right,
but I'm just using one right now to wipe my hand off. I can't. I don't want to put my hand in there because it's dirty. But
who's the star?
Thank you. But they're little towels, and they're amazing for washing the face. Yeah. So I think
cotton pads, so you can use them and then throw them into the little bag, chuck them in the washing machine, and that's it.
They're just a nice little touch. It's something you don't really think about, and then you start using, and it's one of my favorite things. Yeah. So, clean hand.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I just love to invite you all to go upstairs. The super talented artistry team from Rosie will be there. But for now, I'd love you to give a huge round of applause to both.
Thank you, guys.
Well done.